Sam, yo, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, Max.
It's great to meet you. I think you're the first ever Buddhist monk to be featured on the Genius
Oh,
Lab.
wow. Do I get a certificate or medal or something?
Maybe some kind of trophy. I'm super excited to learn about your background, about the topic of your new book. We live in crazy times.
Yes, we do.
And so I feel like who better than a Buddhist monk to help us sift through the noise and to arrive at some sense of clarity about what it means to live a well-lived life today.
Yeah, I mean, the title was A Monk's Mindset, Finding Stillness in a World That Won't Stop Moving. And with the book, it's my journey from being a performer, London to West End, doing stage, doing screen, and leaving it all behind and going to Thailand and becoming a Buddhist monk and, embracing stillness, embracing structure, and embracing how to find clarity in the chaos and the noise, and especially coming from the entertainment industry. I always joke that I think the whole transition from stage to monastery was about 10 days. So I always joke I went from jazz hands to pray hands in 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like proper disconnect.
It's incredible. And how long were you actually practicing? Are you still practicing Buddhist monk?
So I was in the monastery for about 10 months, but I still practice the disciplines every day. So the book is about how we don't have to be a monk to think like a monk. We can inject these practices normally into our day. What we weave these, I call these monk mindset moments without disrupting the flow of our day. From drinking a glass of water to taking a breath before starting a podcast, you take yourself and you bring yourself to that stillness. So the intention of what you want to comes to fruition rather than reacting, because we're very reactive creatures, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And what is the core of Buddhist teaching? I mean, as a teacher of Buddhism, it's about acknowledging that that suffering is an inevitable aspect of life, is it not?
Yeah, but everything is ever changing. And I think a lot of the stress and things that overwhelm us is when we try to control the things that we can't control. There's always going to be conflict out there in the world. What we can do is control the conflict within our space and bring peace in that way. We try to sometimes have these worldly problems and we want to solve them. And we place our responsibility to solving them. But yet we're not solving the small problems around us, conflict and peace within our relationships and, our environment and just how we interact with people. Coming on the freeway today.
The 405?
The 405, you see all the conflicts, the cars and the people are constantly, at each other. And what a lot of people don't realize is that your calm, your stillness is sacred. And what we tend to do all the time is give people the power to take it. And if you just have that mindset, think my calm, my stillness is sacred. I am going to protect it and give it when I need it. I'm not going to let someone take it. I know, and we live a bit more of a peaceful society and environment. It's not just one person doing it. We all have to have the kind of mindset to okay, I'm going to keep my peace. I'm not going to address because most of the things we bark at afterwards think, okay, that was nothing. It's gone. It's gone. And it was just a moment in time where we didn't create a monk mindset moment to all right, this doesn't actually need to affect me.
How do we cultivate the monk mindset moments? So
they're integrated within your day. The first monk mindset moment you can do is as soon as you wake up. I always take 5 deep breaths. Even before I turn off my phone or anything, that's 5 deep breaths. So Mel Robbins calls it the 5-second rule. So in her 5-second rule, if it goes over 5 seconds, you're likely not to do it. But in the morning, those 5 seconds is when your mind is the clearest, where there's no algorithm, there's no noise. So within those 5 seconds, those 5 breaths, just set your intention. How do I want to show up today? That's it. And those breaths are the most powerful breaths you're going to do. Because as soon as you tap on the phone, notifications, you see all the emails there, you've gone, the algorithm is taking you.
It's taken over, yeah.
It's taking you already. But those five breaths, that's your algorithm. That's when you are you. Yeah.
It's like the information deluge today is it's like a tsunami.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's like it's very hard to fight.
Yeah. I remember I was in the monastery for like 3 months, and then it was the first time I left the monastery. And we were in the car, and I was just looking outside, and when I realized how protected I'd been inside the walls, and I was just looking outside, and all the people and I was in Bangkok, of course, which if you've been, it's very busy, and there's neon lights, there's signs, there's all these things, buy this, do this, people on their phones. I was like, wow, how do people focus? I was thinking on just themselves and being with themselves. Because stillness within yourself is very uncomfortable if you have never experienced it. And that was one of the most uncomfortable things at the beginning of the monastery. It's when I got there, no identity, because I'd given up my name. I had a Dharma name, no possessions, no attachment, distractions. Always was left with stillness and structure. And sometimes stillness, when you haven't sat it for a long time or ever, is the loudest thing. It's in your mind. And a lot of people aren't comfortable living with stillness or finding stillness because it's easier just to keep moving. Because then if we stop for a second, we have to deal with something that we've been running from.
Yeah. What's the best way to handle negative thoughts when they do arise?
Oh, to acknowledge them. That's the thing. You acknowledge it. In the book, I say, name it, tame it.
Name it, tame it. Wow, I love that.
Name it. If there's emotion in you, you've got to name it, because once you name it, you separate yourself from it slightly. There's a space. And once you separate yourself, and that's the first step of dealing with it, because we're not attached to the emotion. We are, what was it? We are the space of our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. It's the same. We have the space for our emotions. We are not the emotion. So when we create that space, just name it, tame it. It just gives you a little distance. You kind of look back at something, like a picture, and you notice something different. Sometimes you're too close to the picture. You think, oh my God, what's going on? Then you look back and you see it slightly different. And you see, okay, there's a bit of light there. I never saw all the way the light hit that. It's the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Meditation has become a bit of it's trending in a way, like in the wellness world. Like meditation has kind of broken free from the monastery, and it's become something that has become quite popular in the zeitgeist. Are there common mistakes that you see people making? I mean, as somebody who's been trained by, originators of the practice, the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to
yeah, because
meditation?
I made all of them. Before I went to monastery, I never meditated. So I was, in a sense, learning on the job, as I like to put it. First of all, it was hard to sit still. And one of the things that I struggled with was approval and validation, especially coming from the entertainment industry. It's all, we always seek that. I need to prove that I'm doing something right. And when I would sit in meditation, I would think to myself, okay, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And then you're spiraling, and all these thoughts are coming through my head all the time. And the thing about meditation, it's not about distancing yourself from the thought. It's about acknowledging the thought, like clouds. See the cloud, allow it to pass. See the cloud, allow it to pass. That's what meditation is, meeting yourself where you're at in the moment. Whether you're anxious, you acknowledge that, and you breathe into it. And then, again, you can name it, tame it. If there's an emotion that's holding you back, and you create that distance, and you just gently see the cloud pass. But yeah, I was terrible at meditation. Terrible. And the things, I kept it to myself for like a month. I would just sit there, and then my nose is itchy, or looking at the time, and then eventually I built the courage to ask my mentor, Ajahn Paul, and he said, look, there's different ways you meditate. If you can't sit still, try walking meditation, movement meditation. And because of my background, I did martial arts and dance. Movement is more natural for me. So, there's a courtyard, And, she said, just try and spend half an hour just walking through the courtyard. And all you need to do is focus on the sensation of your feet. And that's it. The sensation of your feet. And then, I was able to kind of bring that back into more stillness. And what I do in my Peloton classes, there's a lot of meditation woven into my Peloton classes, which a lot of the people who do my classes don't realize. At the beginning of my class, I say, take a deep breath in and out. So that original breath was for me because, I'd spent, I think, most of the year preparing for this one live performance to start my career in Peloton. And I was nervous, anxious, got filled in my belly. And I just said to her, take a deep breath in and out. So that breath was for me to center me. And now it's something that centers everybody, and for me, that's my monk mindset moment before I go live to thousands, before I'm interacting, before I'm coaching to the cameras and looking at my playlist, remembering my class plan, and just trying to be entertaining at the same time. There's a lot of things juggling. So that moment of stillness I created for myself, but now it's integrated into all my classes. And a lot of the members who do my classes don't realize that is meditation. We do a breath of meditation before. Because if it's okay, guys, we're going to do a breath of meditation now. It's very different. So we just do it within the flow of the class.
I feel like so many people think of meditation as a way to turn off your thoughts.
No, it's to acknowledge them. Because you can't turn off your thoughts. You can try it. It's like, okay, Max, turn off your thoughts. Turn off pink elephants.
Right.
Pink elephants, turn off your thoughts. And now you're just imagining pink elephants, No, but acknowledge the pink elephant. Yeah, there's a pink elephant. Now it's gone.
So how does that, when thinking about thoughts that one might describe as intrusive, especially today in the era of social media, there's a lot of things that come, that force their way into your attention, whether you consent to that or not. I mean, it's like the algorithms of social media put stuff literally right in front of your face that you don't necessarily want to see. So what's the best way to handle that? Intrusive thoughts, ideas, sound bites, news bits that aren't necessarily productive to you living your best life.
But the thing is, we have to remember, we can control the algorithm. We can control who we follow. We can control who we listen to, and things are always going to be intrusive. Things are always going to be there. The chaos, the conflict. It's how we relate to it. It's our relationship to it. If you see something, what they say, the hate likes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going on another holiday. I'm just going to hate like it. Don't follow them. It's that simple. Or I think the social media have this thing where their account, you can follow them, but their account doesn't show up.
You mute.
You mute them.
Yeah.
So you're kind of taking away these algorithms which don't serve you. And on my phone, when I'm working, I put on Do Not Disturb. So no notifications come through. The only people that come through are my parents, my other half, and my nephews if they need me. So then I have a block of 4 hours where I have no notifications. And I get most of my work done in those 4 hours. So, it's using technology to distance the distractions. And we all have the ability to do that, but we just don't do it because we're afraid of missing out all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. As a Buddhist monk, I mean, what do you make of the trend? I guess it's not even so much a trend as it is just it's now part of what it feels like to be on social media is being exposed to rage bait. Rage bait is such a common phenomenon now. And it's what the algorithms, I think, optimize for. Negativity. And we all have this
of course,
this negativity bias, right?
Yeah. And it's the same with, in a sense, the fitness industry now. Intensity sells. You see all these amazing influencers. Everything they're doing is intense workouts. You think, wow, that looks amazing. But average Joe is never going to be able to do that. But it looks great. And we're very good at selling intensity because, recovery, realignment, stillness doesn't have the same flashy lights, And I listened to your podcast with, was it Dr. Wright, about longevity. And, as you get older, you got to change the way you move and your nutrition, and what people don't realize, the intensity stuff looks great and it looks like a flex, but the real flex is longevity, and movement. There's 4 mindful dimensions we live in. It's heart, spirit, mind, and body. So body, movement, how we move, and what we forget is movement is a gift. And with my job, I'm so lucky to meet people who have maybe had something happen to them and they're getting back into movement, or they're at different ages, and they're doing it for themselves, not for the algorithm, not for the likes. I had this lady who one year I shouted out, "Oh, happy birthday," because I can see like milestones and birthdays. So, "Happy birthday, Sally. Hope you have a great birthday." And I think she was off somewhere in Florida. I'm in London. And then the year after, what she wanted for her birthday was to come to London to do a live birthday class with me. So her family flew her over to London, and then surprised, we could do a class with Sam. And what was great is the whole Peloton studio kind of arranged it to make it a bit special for her. So that class, she celebrated her 92nd birthday in the studio with me.
That's amazing.
And I think her birthday was in November. I think she was 94 in November, and she was on there as well. And she said to me, "Sam, I just do 10 minutes. That works for me. It's not about what I could do before. It's what I can do now." And as we get older, we're always hung up on what we used to be able to do, isn't it? "Oh, I used to squat, blah, 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 blah. But now my knees are not going to take that." And as you get older, we have to adapt, we have to educate, and we have to focus on longevity of the flex. And like you said, the algorithm, it shows us all the intensity. But you got to kind of, like I said, you got to distance yourself from that. I said, what do I need? Do I need to do a high rocks in 2 months? If you want to do that's fantastic. But the average person just wants to move and move well as we age.
It's such a problem, the shiny object syndrome.
Of course, yeah.
That we are all prone to succumbing to. I mean, I am. It's just something that's, it feels so innate to being human. I want to know more about, because you became this world-class Peloton instructor. And so the role of fitness in terms of supporting mental health, to me is something very interesting and something that I personally, I've felt. Fitness plays a huge role in my life, not least of which for my physical health and my longevity, but for my mental health. And so what does that intersection look and feel like for you, having this background as a Buddhist monk, but then also being a fitness pro?
It's the same. It's service. So when in the monastery, you kind of focus on self and service. I work on myself so I can service and help others. And when your purpose becomes more than just about you, it's so more fulfilling. And I feel that in this role, it's kind of an extension for me of what I did in the monastery. We used to go on alms rounds in the morning, so we'll go out with our bowl, and people will give us food, and we'll bless them. So we just bless them for the day, and that was their affirmation they needed for the day. And sometimes I feel like when the lights go on at Peloton and I'm live, I'm on this virtual alms round to the people around the world. I don't have my bowl, but I have my bike and I have my words, and I can say something or put a track on which completely can change someone else's day and outlook of how they're feeling. And I've had so many members who have flown to London, done a class with me, and just said, "Oh, I was going through this hard time, and then you said this," or I was struggling with the passing of my father, and you happened to play one of his songs, and I cried, but then afterwards I just felt release because I've been holding it in. And the things of movement is a form of meditation. That flow state gets you into a flow state. And once you're in your flow state, you're able to kind of create that kind of monk mindset moment of stillness, even though you're moving, to invite these things that you need and kind of refine your intention. And as you know, when you run, you just go somewhere else. That flow state, that rhythm. Even when you breathe or bench, when you breathe, you're putting your body through a flow state. One simple move from A to B with the breath. very similar to how we do in the mind. It's the movement with the breath and the mind working together. It's the movement with the breath and the body working together.
Yeah, I think so many people associate working out with aesthetics, but I mean, for me, the gym is a form of monastery.
Yes. Was it is it body's a temple, kind of that old saying, right?
I mean, it's like trite. It sounds like something you'd read on a bumper sticker, but it's like, for me, absolutely true.
Yeah. And as you know, it's not just the physical aspect of it. You know, it's the mental confidence and clarity it gives you as well. You know, I've had people who have had hip replacements, and they've come back on the bike and they're doing it slowly, and again, it's building up confidence. You know, all life is building up confidence for the next stage, and you know, resilience for what might happen. And you know, the gym, like one of the reasons I got into martial arts and you know, dance was movement. I'm been addicted to movement all my life. You know, whether it's benching or squatting or doing a pirouette or riding a bike, I've been addicted to movement. And one of the reasons is that it allows me to get into this very calm state. And, you know, I feel myself when I'm doing movement. Yeah.
Would you say that mindfulness is being oversold right now? It's another trending concept that you see a lot.
I think that the misconception of mindfulness is that you've got to go to a temple or into, you know, a monastery to do that. But I think mindfulness is interjected into our everyday life if we choose or if we're aware of it. And, you know, I think there's, you know, with every discipline and industry, it can get oversold. Once it becomes popular, they keep saying it more. You know, you'll see a certain type of, you know, class type which hits, and then all of a sudden there's so many other studios that open around. You know, but you know, mindfulness, it's personal. Once it doesn't become personal, then that's when you can kind of question it. You know, once it's in a sense selling you something that you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, I think problems arise when people try to take a concept and sell it.
Yeah.
They try to package it.
Yeah.
Turn it into a protocol.
Yeah.
Because at that point it becomes something rigid.
Yes, of course. It becomes something artificial.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
What was the hardest part about becoming a monk?
So the hardest part of becoming a monk was, I think at the beginning, was just sitting with myself. Coming from entertainment industry, I always had people around me. It was always noise. You know, we'd finish a show, we'd go out to the bars and clubs, and you know, 4:00 in the morning, I'll be singing karaoke Bon Jovi with someone, and then you know, it's always surrounded by people. And I think I did that because I was afraid to kind of ask the questions that I've always wanted the answers to, because I've always felt displaced and disconnected with myself. You know, especially growing up first generation and just kind of not feeling the child of evil worlds. And you know, when my parents divorced, that kind of disconnected me even more from myself. So when I, in my 20s, got my first acting gig, I just ran with it because I used it as a distraction. It was like a roller coaster. I was on this roller coaster and I didn't know where the stops were, but I just kept going. And it was actually, I was actually on tour in a town called Bristol. It has lots of hills. And I was in my fast little black sports car in my 20s. I was at times like, oh my God, I got made. I've got a sports car now. Wow, I've got a job. I've got a role. You know, on the outside, everything looked great. But I always knew inside something was just displaced. There was something just not right. I was disconnected with the things I was doing. And I nearly had an accident. And there was a part when the car swerved and it kind of went on two wheels and it would have toppled. So I had the choice to turn left or right and the car would have gone back or just tip over. So fortunately, I turned the wheel and it landed with a thump. And in that moment, I can still feel now, I just felt everything. And that everything was just stillness. And I realized how much I've been running away from it. And I could smell the tires that screeched, and I could feel the level of the steering wheel, and I could sort of taste the alcohol again. But I drunk that night, and I thought, okay, I need to do something. I don't know what it is, but I need to do something. Something needs to change. And, I decided to leave the company after that. They offered more contracts. And as an actor, as you know, you don't turn down work. And my friends were like, why are you turning down? I just need to go. I need to do something. And I had no idea what that was. And I'd taken my mum to the temple one Sunday. And I remember standing in front of this pond where as a kid I'd fallen into. And my blue Wellington boots got stuck in the mud. And I felt like I was still that kid stuck. I wasn't moving, even though I was moving externally. I was like, okay, what do I do? And how can I find myself? And, growing up, I always went to Sunday school. And I always felt that monks always had the answer to every question. And they were so knowledgeable. And I thought, okay, I'm in, the monastery now. I remember feeling calm for the first time, just staring at that pond. And, on the drive back, I told my mum, I want to go back to Thailand and become a monk. She's like, what? And it's so funny, for my Asian mother, me dressing up, playing make-believe on stage was more digestible than me going off and being a spiritual man. She's like, what? Because I felt like no interest. I used to complain every time I had to go to the temple as a kid. And one of the things is, one of my cousins, he was a monk at the time. And I forgot that he was a monk, because it was like been for him years. And he's in Ayutthaya, which is the province where my family grew up. And I was like, well, why is he still there? So Mum's, because he just feels like that's where he needs to be. He finds the peace. And I think, that's what I knew I needed, was the peace and the stillness. Yeah.
What was it about? What do you think it was that you were looking for in theater that you ultimately found in the monastery?
What was I looking in theater?
Yeah.
To be honest, with acting and theater and stuff, I kind of fell into it. And I was partly because I wasn't really making decisions for myself. I was just kind of going with the flow, because I didn't know what I wanted, or what I needed. So, we used to do martial arts, because me and my friends were, we loved Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, and we used to...
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I know.
Chuck Norris.
And we used to make like our own martial art films and stuff around the house. So I used to do Taekwondo and Thai boxing. And then from that, one of my other friends, he started doing dance. And he said, just come to one of my classes. And then I go, okay. I went there, and it was, I enjoyed it. And he said, you should audition for a dance school. So yeah, I'll audition for a dance school. So I auditioned for a dance school, and I got in. I got a full scholarship.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So someone might think I'm good. So I kind of went with where the validation was. Oh, they give me a scholarship. I must be good. I must do this. So I did that, and then I thought, okay, I'll do this for 3 years, and then after that I'll find something else. And then what happened was, someone had said, "Oh, you should go to this audition." It was for King and I, the Rodgers and Hammerstein production. I said, "I don't want to do a musical." At the time I couldn't sing, so just go. There's a few more extra spots because some people pulled out. So I went. I got the gig. I was like, okay, I'm now doing musicals.
Whoa.
I'm now doing musicals. So, I was on the stage of a London Palladium, and I just went from one thing to the other without really asking myself what I wanted or what I needed. I was very lucky. I just went from one thing to the other. And then, from being in the West End, we went on tour, and then, things just kept building up because I was just kind of running from what I needed and what I needed to ask myself. And, and the thing about the monastery is when everything was taken away, I can finally ask myself the question is, who am I when the applause stops? And that's the thing, who are you when the applause stops? We become the people who we are in the moments alone. It's not in the big moments. It's the moments, the things you do alone, in those still moments, but no one sees. That's who you become. That's who we become. And a lot of the time in the monastery was just that. I was becoming who I was when I was alone. There's no validation, no, posting, I just did this. And, it was just all for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if your why is external validation, I mean, that is, you're not going to get very far.
And it's hard because these days, because it's a lot, it's everywhere. And,
we're addicted to it.
We're addicted to it, We're addicted to it. Society and, companies have made us addicted to it because then they can sell us more stuff.
You on social media, like, how do we opt out? Or how do we make use of the tools? Because, like, at the end of the day, I think social media, it's a double-edged sword. It's a tool like any other. It's like fire. Fire can either, burn your house down or be used to cook your food.
Of course, yeah.
So how do we take the best parts, the most productive, helpful parts of social media and the media landscape at large, which has become so polarized, and tune out when it comes to the negative stuff?
Or you have a choice not to be on social media, isn't it? I mean, that's the extreme. But I know a lot of the time our jobs and our work require us to be there to network. And like I said, it's you can even audit. There's a thing in the book about, because when I was in the monastery, I already had 5 possessions: my robes, my alms bowl, the belt, and a shaver, and like a water filter, which is from back in the day where monks lived in the forest, and so needed a water filter for the rivers and stuff. It's more symbolic. And in the book I said, how often do you audit your social media account of the accounts that you don't need, that don't serve you? Because sometimes we just follow. We see somebody doing something funny, oh yeah, let's follow that person. But then what are they actually giving you to in your life that's going to enrich it? And then we can use social media like yourself is, to get the word out of things, to educate people. And that's what I love when social media and YouTube is the things that educate me and make me think. I feel, okay, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, I can incorporate it into my life, And that's the thing is, choose the things personally that educate you, because we're constantly growing and learning. And you can choose whether to maybe watch a TED talk about longevity or, cats. You have the choice. You have the choice.
I enjoy both.
Yeah, you enjoy both. I think you can have that kind of rhythm and balance.
Yeah, no, I mean, social media is not even social anymore.
No.
It's like attentional media. It's just like everybody's vying for your eyeballs to sell you something.
Yeah.
It's become such a bore in many ways. And it's like changing our brains, There's there's this trend on social media, raw dogging. Are you familiar with that at all? It's like, we used to have space in the day to mind wander and to just feel boredom, which I think is like a really important emotion because it allows us to cultivate tools to deal with that boredom, whether through creativity, whether through socializing. But now we have these devices in our pockets 24 hours a day that have supplanted that very human feeling of boredom and, daydreaming. Like, when was the last time you daydreamed,
Right.
With the minute we stop being stimulated, we take out our phones and it's
But when's the last time you just went for a walk?
Exactly. Well, that's the whole raw dogging thing, is like raw dogging a walk, like walking without my phone.
Right.
Or like raw dogging a flight. That's like how it popped, I think, onto many people's radars. But there were like these like viral reels of people like, I'm just going to raw dog a flight. No media, no entertainment, just me and the flight map.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like funny, but it's also, you can see how that kind of trend evolved, like out of necessity, I think.
But the thing is, in a sense, it's de-evolving because that's what we used to do anyway. You can see it in both perspectives, right? We've got to bring it back because we've been given too much.
And monks are the original raw doggers.
Yeah, like original monks just lived in the forest. They didn't even have a temple. The temple was and that was kind of built afterwards. So they would live and find shelter in, forest, and that was, the water filter. And they had literally nothing. And the thing is, when you take away everything, you have everything. You realize, Do
you think it's a problem today that we've become too aware? I mean, because I feel like awareness is a good thing, but we're aware now. We're being asked to be aware on a scale that's just unprecedented, historically, unprecedented. In terms of the human story, we're now asked to be aware about conflicts going on the other side of the planet. When our brains, we evolved where the most important type of awareness was, are you aware of what's going on in your immediate vicinity with your family, with your tribe?
The thing is with conflict and, war, that it's always been there. It's just our relationship to it. And at the moment, our relationship to it is closer. So we have to kind of find a way to kind of distance ourselves from what we can control, like I said earlier. Control the conflict and peace around you. That's what you can control. Those relationships which need a bit of mending, or that person you haven't called in a while, or the way you interact with the barista, who got your order wrong for the 5th time. Those are the things that we can focus on in our everyday life. And, and the hope and the idealistic way of thinking is that if everyone did that, then there'll be a bit more peace.
So true. Do you think that some people use spirituality to avoid doing hard things?
Well, being spiritual is a hard thing as well. It's... Yeah, because like going to the monastery, it was the most challenging but transformative part of my life. And even now, like years later, the time there ripples into my character and who I am today. And it actually wasn't until I started working with Peloton, which I really kind of reverse engineer, why am I so calm all the time, and why do I not let things get to me, and why can I put you through like a 45-minute HIIT class but keep you calm the whole entire way. And it's because of the stuff I learned in the monastery. And like I said, with my classes, I implement these moments of calmness within the chaos. So it's not just intensity, there's a light and shade. But spirituality, it is hard. It's supposed to be hard, But for those who are not into the spirituality stuff, it's just finding something which is the blueprint that fulfills you. That's what we need to do. Whether it's spirituality, whether it's a charity or cause, or raising your kids, find something that fulfills you in life. Because sometimes we forget that, especially as adults. We forget, what fulfills me? What within my life can I celebrate myself? As we get older, we tend to celebrate ourselves less. We kind of wait for this big milestone years ahead, but we've got to celebrate the little steps, and that's what keeps us going, is the little steps. Yeah.
So how did you then discover fitness? Like how did you then go? Tell me that story, how you went from being a monk to ultimately leaving the monastery and becoming this like globally recognized fitness instructor.
So I've always been into fitness. So before the monastery, with martial arts and dance, dance and I played a lot of football as well. My dad was a coach. So when I left the monastery, I went back and I started training again and just focusing on myself. And what happened was because of my background, I was able to kind of give people more guidance, and I really enjoyed giving people that guidance. And it kind of felt like the same way in the monastery. I was kind of being of service. So,
was that transition difficult for you?
The transition back, yes. Transition back, yeah. Like I think I struggled with it for at least 3 months. I think I remember when I first came out of the monastery. Within the first week, my cousin went to me, okay, I'm going to take you to the center of Bangkok, and we're just going to stand there. I was like, stimulation overload. So you need to kind of get back into this, or else you're just going to be a hermit. And I remember just standing in with him. He's looking at me smiling. He's just looking at me smiling. And I was like, there's so many people rushing by. And you realize how people are not really paying attention to each other. They're in their own little bubble. And I really saw that they're in their own little bubble, and they're just, you're interacting, but you're not really interacting, you're just moving past. There's really no real connection and engagement. And especially coming from an environment where it was all about connection and engagement and listening, you realize how a lot of people don't listen. They're just rushing through life and not experiencing it, which we tend to do quite a lot. But yeah, so then, I got qualified as a coach and a trainer. So then I'll go back and do my theatre stuff. And then what happened was Peloton at the time, I think 2018, 19, they were looking for 2 new instructors, and they were scouting people out. So I think they were doing Canada and London, UK and the US. So they were just turning up like blind casting. And I didn't know. So there was one, my producer said the first class we went to, that was mine, was 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 people on a Friday in a room which seated 60. And he said, when he came to the class, he said that you were very engaging. You made the room feel full. You made everyone feel seen. And that's the first little spark. Okay, we're going to come back and see this guy. So what they would do, they'll go back and they'll discuss who they liked. They'll kind of cut down who didn't quite fit and then go back, someone else go to their classes. So they were coming back and forth to different people's classes. And then I think a month later, they would DM people on social media saying, hi, we've been coming to your classes. But at the time, I was never on social media. So that DM was there for like a month. And it just happened that I walked past one of the instructors who they'd asked to kind of come in for an interview. And I was like, have you spoken to the guys from Peloton? I was like, no, who's Peloton? I didn't know who they were. So I checked my DMs. And then I had a little coffee with Pete, who is the VP of Europe, and he discussed what they were doing. They were expanding in the UK. I said, I'll come in. Yeah, I'll come in for a quick interview. So I went in for an interview, and I said, can we put this on camera? So sure. So I was sitting in the room and on the bike, and there's cameras. And what was in my favor is because as an actor, sometimes you only got 60 seconds to turn it on and impress. So I was very used to doing that, walking into a room and just having to go at it 100%. So I think that really helped in my favor because I knew there was some great coaches up for it, but I don't think they had the connection with the camera. So we went through like a 3-month audition process, and then I was in New York training, and then when they first contacted me in July, my first class was in November live. So it was like a whole year process of becoming an instructor and learning the ropes and learning about the brand and how much the brand means to people. But yeah, I was just in the right place at the right time. And what happened was as well is that I turned down a few acting jobs because at the time I was like, I've done it before, turning down jobs, and I was really enjoying just coaching people and just seeing the difference my skills make, and seeing the confidence of people building up every time they come back to the studio. And because I turned down those jobs, it put me in that studio Friday morning at 6 o'clock. And it sort of had a rippling effect, and now I'm sitting here with you chatting.
Yeah.
And I've written the book. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I mean, one of my favorite quotes is, one does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time. Sometimes you have to have the wherewithal to recognize where in your life you're being bound by golden handcuffs and know when to, sever those ties.
Yeah. Familiarity can be binding. That's the thing. And we're creatures of comfort as well. But as you know, mentally and physically, we grow when our muscles are under stress and discomfort. It's the same sometimes, when there's something happens in our life, it becomes a pivoting point which changing us, and we grow from that point.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, there's somebody in my life who has a corporate job, and a friend of mine. And he's really nervous because he's got all these expenses, about cutting the cord and leaving the corporate job, but he hates the corporate job. And so, it's a tricky thing because all of their free time is spent dealing with the stress that comes from that. Yeah. So they're not necessarily looking for what the next leap might be.
Yeah. They're not enjoying life. They're just moving through it.
They're just moving through it, yeah.
I used to coach this lady who was a lawyer. Great. I think she was one of the parts or something. And she'll come in the afternoons and would do boxing and stuff. She loved boxing. She's, when I was younger, I did a lot of boxing. And she really enjoyed it. And I think her dad was a boxing coach or something as well. And then what she did was she quit her lawyer job and became an amateur boxer. And it's baffling to the people around her, but she'd made this journey. She'd been making this journey, these steps in her mind for the longest time. And sometime, what happens is the mind pushes, then the body follows. And it always happens in your mind. And then when the body follows, people go, oh my God, what's going on? But you already started this journey in your mind. And she went off to win some sort of amateur titles and stuff as well. But you got to think, one minute she was a lawyer and then she was a boxer. Yeah.
I mean, that degree means nothing when you zoom out and you realize, like,
no, of course,
you only get one go around.
Yeah. And that fulfilled her more. Just stepping in the ring and, putting on the gloves, that fulfilled her more than the money and the stuff that she had before.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pieces of content that you've created is you explain why time seems to move faster the older you get.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's because we're not paying attention. It's what it is. We're not paying attention, and sometimes the year tends to come quicker every year. So, oh my God, it's December again. I've got to do Christmas presents. That we're not present in the moment. That's what it is. It's about being present in the moment. It's about celebrating the little things. In my 30s, I think I stopped doing stuff for my birthday. No, in my 20s, I stopped kind of doing stuff for my birthday. So when I got into my 30s, 40s, I made sure that every birthday I went away. So I marked it with an event. An event to celebrate the year, an event to bring into the new year. So I always had these little marks I had in my year, and then sometimes we're just moving constantly, and that's, and then like I just turned 47 last week. I was like, wow, I'm 47. How did I get here? And you look back and you look at all the things you've done, and then you kind of think, okay, where am I going next, and how am I going there, and to taking those steps. But time does move seem to move quicker, but we have the same amount of time than we had when we were kids.
It's funny how relative time feels depending on the stimulus that you're engaging with, right? Like, I mean, 2 minutes doom scrolling Instagram, looking at cat videos feels a lot different subjectively than 2 minutes holding a plank.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's the same amount of time.
Same amount of time.
Yeah. I think as kids as well, one of the reasons time goes slow is because we're doing so much. We're filling it with new things. And as we get older, as adults, we don't fill it with new things that help our growth. I remember like summer holidays, we used to do so much and it felt like a year. We're going on a bike ride, then we'll do this. There's all these things. And we'll go out and learn to do something new. But as adults, we stop learning. I think learning as well, if we stop learning, it elongates the time because, we need to learn new things as we get older.
And we get stuck in routine. Life becomes rote,
Of course.
Like the brain is an efficiency machine.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you're doing, like whatever your routine ultimately becomes something that your brain just kind of packages and creates something that it can most efficiently move past, so you can focus your attention on something new.
Yeah, but it's great, mate. It's great to have structure in your routine because that's how we grow. But then, think of having the structure as a tapping point, and then when you need to move away from it, you can always come back to do something new. You always have this core. A lot of people think it's about balance, but it's not. It's about knowing your rhythm and knowing when the beat is off. So every day is a different rhythm. So your rhythm today is different tomorrow. So you have to adjust and modify what you do. That's the thing. It's not about balance. It's about rhythm. Rhythm is always different. As we get older, rhythm is different. So we need certain things in place to kind of utilize the time more.
Well, what do you say to skeptics or cynics rather? People who are like, well, I'm at a phase in life where I can't shake the routine. I've got all these obligations, whether to my kids, to my job, my pet. Like what is a viable, if not an out, a way to, have a sense of reprieve from the routine so as to experience new stimuli?
Start small. Because the thing is, sometimes we think changes have to be big, but changes are small. It's the small steps that build you, not the big thing at the end that everyone sees. So so if you're in a routine and you thought you can't change it, just change one thing. Do 10 minutes or something. If you're not moving and you're not moving, 10 minutes. Set a timer. do some bodyweight squats to start with, or just take a 10-minute walk around the block. Sometimes, changes don't have to be huge. And again, it goes to social media, because all the things we see in social media is huge. These people making big changes, and there's a time lapse for when they start to, when they finish. Like, wow, that was, but it's the small steps that we don't see in the time lapse.
Yeah, we don't see the boring. We don't see. It's like the Instagram carousel.
Yeah,
it's like it's a before, and then you swipe right, and it's the after.
Yeah,
and it's like it compresses time in a way that's so unnatural.
Yeah,
and can be so deflating.
Yeah. And our attention spans these days is much shorter, isn't it, as well? And, it has to do with how we consume content.
Our attention spans are cooked.
Yeah.
That's why I think raw dogging.
But it's even with, when you sit and watch Netflix, I saw this thing when they script things on Netflix, they have to explain things over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm going to the tent with Max because blah, 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 because we did this. And they will keep repeating it because they know that a lot of people are just scrolling at the same time they're watching it. So they're losing what's going on.
See, I wonder if our attention spans are really cooked, or if the content has just become really derivative. And the concept of slop, like how everything has become just like, whether it's streaming slop or the slop that you see on social media or AI produced slop. It's like, yeah, I think there's probably some truth to the fact that our attention spans are being negatively impacted by the deluge of content today, but also the content has become so low effort.
I think content now is there's so much, it's mass produced. We're mass producing content. That's what's happening now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And with AI, we must be creating more content today than decades, decades, just a couple of decades ago. It's just, there's just so much of it. It's it's crazy.
And the thing is, we're reducing the time that we need to produce the content as well. And now with AI and helping produce things, that time line is that buffer is not even there anymore.
It's wild. What are your thoughts on AI? What's the monk's perspective on artificial intelligence?
So with the AI, it's people say, "Oh no, AI is going to take over the world," but AI is, in a sense, has to be controlled by a person. So it's still going to be controlled by humans. It's the people controlling it. And it's their responsibility, and hopefully they can be accountable for the whole of us as society, rather than about profit. A lot of stuff. AI. So it's more about reducing costs to get more profit. Yeah.
I think it's an amazing tool. I'm a huge fan of it, but again, I don't think it's without risk. But as a creator, as somebody who's a lifelong creative, it's definitely reduced friction for me in a lot of ways creatively.
Yeah, and you're able to produce more things quickly, and it helps you. It's just using it in the right way.
Indeed. There's a movie that I saw recently that was an incredible movie that I just want to shout out. It's basically about this. Sam Rockwell was in the movie. It's about AI, and it's about what it's doing to us as a species. And it doesn't provide any easy answers. The movie's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Highly recommend it.
Okay, I'll look into that.
To everybody watching. And basically the point of the movie is that there's no universe in which AI isn't an inevitability. All possibilities lead to artificial intelligence because technology evolves just like humans, and and that AI is sort of this inevitability of technology becoming in a way sentient, and sort of what it's doing to us, and the costs, but also the potential benefits of it that again are not without risk, but if we can kind of harness technology in a way that's safe and that acknowledges or that then then I think ultimately it's going to be a net positive. But we just have to have, I guess, like guardrails in place.
Yeah, I think as the more it develops, the more safeguards we're going to need. It's like when think about the automobile, the car. The car crashes. Do you blame the car or the driver? And back they had speed limits that they put in place now, which they probably didn't have when the first cars were on the road. Lights and things like that. So eventually, hopefully, we'll get these safeguards for AI and be more mindful of how we use it.
Yeah. So what would you say your why is? Like why did you write this? Why did you put out this book? Why now? Walk us through your thought process.
So the book is basically my story, and it has practices of how I found my calm and stillness in the monastery, and how people can find it in their everyday life within their routine. You don't have to go to a monastery to find stillness. Stillness is something you learn to carry with you, and in the book is how I've learned to carry that with me. And whether it's interacting, whether it's leading a intense Peloton class, there's always an element of stillness and groundedness to it when I do these things. And if anyone who's feeling displaced or disconnected from themselves, it's about my journey of kind of putting my pieces together. And I describe in the book as life is like a jigsaw puzzle, and we go through life experiences finding these pieces. And sometimes we get a piece and it fits. Sometimes we get another piece and it doesn't fit. And we're adamant this piece should fit. And we twist and turn it until we realize we need to let go of that piece. And sometimes it's about letting go of things to invite new things in. And, in the book, it's me letting go of the entertainment industry and the noise and the chaos that kept me from looking internally. Yeah.
The entertainment industry is cooked. Speaking of like how AI is disrupting industries, it's a very interesting time. Well, thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing your work and your story with us. I mean, it's fascinating, and I give you full credit for having walked the walk and and becoming an ascetic and giving up the trappings of modern life to see what is on the other side. It's not something many of us will be able to familiarize ourselves with. And so thanks for coming out on the other side and putting out this tome for us. I've got one last question for you, but before we get to that, where can people pick up your book, and how can they connect with you on social media?
Yes, so the book is out on May 19th. So at the time of recording, you can pre-order it now. And you can find me on social media, I am Sam Yo, or you can join my Peloton classes and log in, and we can do some intense workouts and keep calm at the same time.
Now, I'm not a Peloton guy, but so this is remote, people can tune in digital, remotely to your classes?
There's trials. It's if you can download the app or you can have the hardware. And the great thing about the platform is not just intense workouts. We have mobility, we have breath work, we have meditation, and we have walking meditation when you want to just go for a walk and just listen, but then we have the other end of it as well when you have, treadmill classes and boot camp classes. So it's a great mix of everything that you need. And
you do instruct in person in London, right?
Yeah, so I film out in London. We have a London studio and a New York studio.
Wow.
So I film in London, and, people come in and they'll book in months in advance to do a live class. It's like a live audience TV show, but it's a guy on a bike talking to cameras and fitness and that. And, it goes up. I've had people literally all around the world. There can be a session where I got someone from Hawaii, someone from Italy, someone from Poland the other day, and I had someone once from Kathmandu. I said, oh, I saw the location. Are you really in Kathmandu talking to the camera? Wow, I didn't know we were in Kathmandu. And then he messaged me afterwards. He goes, yeah, I'm stationed in Kathmandu. I took my bike here because I can't live without it.
Wow.
Yeah, so you don't know when you log into a live class who's going to be there. But the beautiful thing is that no matter what your background is, no matter what you're going in your life, these people come together for these 30 minutes and just focus on movement, the gift of movement together. And that's what really, really inspires me.
That's so cool. Well, I'm a huge fan of London, and that's cool that you're there. I mean,
Next time you come to London, you should come to a session with me.
I know. No, I'm down. I'm down. I've never done it, and I try to get to London at least once a year. So we'll for sure take you up on that. Well, the last question that gets asked everybody on the show: what does living a genius life mean to you?
Living a genius life for me at the moment is you don't have to be a monk to live like a monk.
Amen. Beautifully put. Well, thanks for coming out, Sam Yo.
Thank you.
You're the man. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate you. Share this episode with people in your life that you think may benefit from it. And I will catch you on the next episode. Peace. Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.